So we're going to use the screen that you see on here. I'm going to fill in some things. So everyone asks, can you do an explanation of the 3-question approach to lead with liability? This is what we're going to do. So if you see on the screen, this is the sheet that I made that we use for the flow and all of those things. And that's what I want to focus on. So pretend for a second that you've done a great job in building rapport and you just got access to the CCDB or whatever database you have that shows the customer's previous insurance. That's where this begins. Okay, so we're going to flow through this entire thing, and you're going to see that it flows from the beginning point all the way down until you get to the end point and you're out and you're running and you're figuring out what the rest of that thing looks like, right? So when we do so, we want to make sure that we flow like we're supposed to flow. Okay, so let me get rid of that line, get rid of that X. And in this conversation, let's assume that we are in the state of Texas, okay? And the minimum liability limits in the state of Texas, that was some shitty handwriting, is $30,000, $60,000 per person. And let's just say they have $100,000 in property damage. They did a good job. I'm not really worried about that right now, but let's just pretend. So I earned my trust. I'm now inside the game of talking about this, and that's where we're going to begin. And you are the prospect, and we're going to say what's going on. So I'm going to say what the prospect says just to make sure we're in the same game. So I say, Mr. Prospect, I see that you have $30,000 per person, $60,000 per occurrence in current coverage on your policy. Do you know what those coverages mean? I'm going to check that box. The prospect says, no, I don't know what those mean. This is the point in time where I get to interject one reassurance. I'm going to say, oh, okay, no problem. Just know by the end of this phone call, my job is to make sure you understand those. So I'm going to continue on. Who chose those coverages for you? The prospect says, oh, the person on the phone. And I'm going to say, okay, so I see that you've been with Progressive for 4 years. So you're saying that they just chose them? Yeah. All right, cool. No big deal. Awesome. Now, if I see a gap in coverage, as I go through an exercise we're about to go through, are you okay with me calling out a gap? They're going to say yes. No one says no to that question usually. And then I'm going to continue on. He says yes to me. I say, amazing. Thank you for that. We do things differently here at this agency. We make sure things are 100% secure. We want to be very specific with our process. And with that said, I have 3 specific questions I must ask you. And the first one is this. You just told me about 5 minutes ago you owned your house. About how much do you think that house is worth? The prospect says, oh, I think it's worth about $200,000. Okay, amazing. Mr. Prospect, pretend like you're as strong as King Kong and you can flip that house upside down and shake it and all the things fall out. What do you think the value of that personal property be for you? He says, well, I don't know. I think it's going to be like $100,000. I write that down. Amazing. Okay, cool. Third question, the weirdest question of all, but let's not make it weird. We need to wrap a number around your financial assets. Okay, we're talking about investments, 401ks, IRAs, bank accounts, checking accounts, savings accounts, all of those things. If you put all of those things into one number, it could be big, it could be small. What do you feel like the number would be? Oh, I think that's going to be about 25,000. Amazing. Thank you for that. All right. So when I add up all of those numbers, it brings me to a number of about $325,000. Okay. You just gave me permission a little bit ago to call out the gap in coverage. When I look at what you have covered with what you have in assets, it's about $300,000 in gap. Okay. So listen, we're going to use this as a framework as we move forward to quote your insurance. Now, I understand that budget is very important. So let me reassure you, there's many, many options that I'm going to present at the end. We're going to find the best one that fits the budget, but also properly protects you, because right now that gap is unacceptable. In my professional opinion, it's not something we want to even entertain. Sound good to you? Sounds good to me. Blah, blah, blah. That's the end. That's the 3-question approach. It's that simple.